Hi guys, welcome back to another tutorial. Now in this tutorial we're going to look at how to implement Laravel API, that is Laravel REST API, and it has been a while since I posted the video, so let's begin. So in this application, I've been making an application here of how to implement a REST API using Laravel and ReactJS. So I've used Laravel and ReactJS. So let's get started. So let me show you the app itself that I've been able to make. And then I'll show you what we need to do. Now this is Laravel. So this is the Laravel backend. And now I have the front end here. So basically the app is just a registration app whereby somebody can come and register for um somebody can just come and submit his registration details and so forth, and then you get registered into the application. So that's how it works. So here I'm going to run this is the front end. So this is the React now. So I'm going to run the npm start, and then let's start this application. So I've started the Laravel, the backend, and now I'm on the front end here. So let's just wait and see how this works. Right. Okay, guys. Now this is the application. So basically, what the application is just it is more of a Christian-based application. In other words, just a Christian-based application whereby the organization just wants you to come and log in. Okay, you can log in first before you register. So already I've logged in. So I've already registered already. So I'm just going to log in. So I'm going to just log in with my email and just show you what the application does. So here I just get to log in like that. Now I'm logged in with the success message, and then we have the logout option there. Now here, what I can do here is just to come and register here. So let's say, okay, mail. So let's say this is somebody like, uh, say this is Joseph, for example, just a random name, Joseph, Joseph Ted is single. So it has this particular values that will be captured when you're registering for this application. Town of resident could be anywhere. So let me just write this one, my town. So let me just write here Nairobi, since I come from Kenya. So since this is a Christian-based application, so you are asked this credential. So let me just do this quickly, and then I show you what to do. Now, once this is done, since I've now registered for the application, as you can see here, now the next thing is just to click here on save, and then the information gets saved, so you are returned back. Now here I can log out because I'm just a normal user, and then I just come here again and then register as an admin like this, and then I just come and do like that, and I click enter. So here I'm logged in. You can see the URL here is the admin dashboard. So I'm able to access the admin dashboard, and then it loads me to my backend. So all right, now this is the data that gets captured. So now this is the data that I've just registered now as I was showing you the application. So what we have here is that we have our dashboard, of course, and our dashboard is what we can now see. Then we have add a VFI here. So if I click here, I'm able to add somebody as an admin here. So I just need to come here and register as an admin. That is, if somebody just says he doesn't know how to register, so he just wants somebody to help him out. So admin can do that. Going back to dashboard again here. So you can see here I'm able also to edit. So I can edit as well a particular credential here. Let's say here I add the length of membership is 10. So I update it like that, and then it shows you it has been updated successfully. All right, so you can also delete. So I can also delete that entry there. Then it will show this has been deleted successfully. As well, you can also see I can also export this to an Excel, whereby it returns you with this. So here, for example, I can just come here and click that save, or this one. Okay, it already exists. Okay, here, sorry about this. So I can also return back. This one is coming in two. Okay, so you can now see if I open the Excel here, I'm able to see whatever I've just downloaded or the credentials. And remember, here you can also modify this however you want. For example, you can eliminate the dates if you don't want them, that is the timestamps. So you remain with the emails, the whichever fields that you want to include here. And then you have your Excel data there. Another feature that I thought of adding is also import. You can also import data from elsewhere into this particular application. So it's something I wanted to implement, but I just rested upon. Okay, so there's much you can do. So what I'm going to show you in this video, I'm going to show you how to implement just a REST API, whereby you're able to perform the different CRUD functionality. For example, edit, delete. How can you make this record? That is, how can you um, back the registration form, and then data is captured on a backend. So as I've said, remember I'm using Laravel for my backend for my REST API. So this is the REST API. This is at the endpoints. Yeah. So let's get started. Let's just get started. Okay, now I'm on my VS Code. So this is the text editor I'm using. Since I love it, it's very good. So now let's begin. So I believe you are not new to React and Laravel. So some of this code I'm going to copy and paste it because it's quite lengthy code, and having to type all this code from scratch will take time in this video. So I believe you are not that beginner. As well, I've also published this particular tutorial on my website, webdevtrainee.com. So you may want to go and check it and read it. I'll leave a link in the comment section of this video. So you may want to go and check and read if you are interested to read. Yeah. So here I'm just going to explain some of the things, and then I will copy paste, and then I will explain everything that you need to know. So here, let me just open my terminal. So I believe we are doing this together. So if there is any question, just comment it, and then I will follow up with you. So here, since I'm on my root of my desk of my PC, so here let me go to S, and then be that way, and then let me find okay, so let me find XAMPP. Okay, so that is XAMPP, and then let me go to the htdocs. So the htdocs is just a folder. If you have been following up my other tutorials on Laravel and PHP, you highly know already about the htdocs. So this one I will not emphasize much. So here is just where I want to install whichever application that I want to install here. The first thing is to install the React app, and for me to install the React app is very easy. So let me just pull that command here. Okay, so now this is the command. So it is just npx create React app, and then the name of your app. In this case, mine is Portal app. So I'm going to click that, enter. So it's now this application is going to be installed on htdocs folder here. So let it just do this quickly. Now this is done. So as you can see here, it is saying CD Portal app. So this is what I'm going to do. Okay, so let me Okay, so now this is cd photo app like that. Now I'm in the photo app, and then the npm start, of course. So basically that's how you install a React application. That is a simple way that you can do that. So this one will open the application for us. All right, now this is the application. So remember, I'm using the latest React, so that is what we are working with. Okay, so that is done. Now, once the React application is done, now there's something that we are going to do here. So I need now to open the application from where it has been installed. In this case, it is under the htdoc, so that should be the application there. Okay, now this is the application that has been installed. Now, what I need to do here is just to begin now. So I'm going to step by step. And the first step here that you want to do here is to come and create a component folder where I'm going to create my CRUD application files. So this should be done under the source. So under the source here, I'm going to have the components like that. And then within the components, let me just show you something here. Okay, now this is what I want to show you. Now, looking at here, for example, here, uh, let me say I wanted to create, okay, let me create a new text file here. Okay, so I want you to take note of this. Now, this is what I'm going to be creating. So under the components folder, I'm going to have this as the first one. So I'm going to have add a VFI JS like that. And as well, I'm also going to have the other one, should be edit. So this should be edit VFI JS. So that is going to perform the edit. And then I'm also going to have the dashboard, which should be like that. So this should be dashboard VFI there, then .js. So that is now the three files that you're going to be working with. So this one, I don't need it. So these are the three files that I'm going to be working with. And then we are going to begin with the first one, which should be the add VFI. So the add VFI, basically you can know what it's going to do. So the first thing I'm going to do here is to import different React, that is, I'm going to import different React statements, and these are the ones that I'm going to. So now these are the ones that I'm going to import. Now, so as I've told you, I will explain to you step by step. So I'm going to import the use effect, and then I'm going to import navigate and use params, and then Axios, and then Sweet Alert. Now I'm going to show you where we are going to use them step by step. So just follow up. Now the first thing here I will want to do is to create the function. Sorry, this is going to be the add VFI. So it's going to be this way. So something like this. Okay, so the first thing here I'm going to have is the function add VFI, and then I'm going to use these different parameters here that I'm going to explain. So the first one here is constant navigate, and then I'm going to use the const navigate because I need to navigate within my application. As well, here I have the input set VFI. Now here, these are just defined. They're just defined functions. For example, in VFI input simply means these are the details that the user is going to be filling here. And then here I'm using the use state hook so that whenever a state within this, whenever a user that is who gets to register to this application, the state is going to be updating uh, whatever the user registers. Remember here I'm using a REST API. Now, what should be the next activity here? Okay, so now the next function here is going to be an undo input, which has a parameter of event. And basically what this one does is that it's going to target the name and the value under the VFI input. Now, what's the role of this? This one is when the user fills the form, is going to be capturing whatever the user uh, inputs within your particular form. So basically, it captures, and then if there are any errors, they will also be outputted. So it is an event in React that I'm creating there. So I'm showing you this step by step so that you'll be able to get what we are doing step by step. If there's any question, please ask. Okay, now here I'm going to have this function here. Now this function here, const save VFI, is self-explanatory. Now remember, the prevent default is to prevent the default behavior of the form submitting itself. So that is the purpose of this particular function here. Now this other one here, the constant data, basically we define the constant data so that the data variable can now all this particular data that will be entered by the user. So here we have gender, then VFI input dot gender. That means that this VFI input, which has been defined here under the set VFI, is going to capture the particular values that the user will input into the form. So basically that is what happens. So hopefully you are following it step by step as I'm explaining it. Now here, once this is done here, now I have this particular code here. Now this code here, what is going to do is we are using Axios. And of course, remember here I imported the Axios here. You can now see this. You can see, for example, here it is telling you this function is still not in use because, for example, they use params. So here, okay, so here what we are doing here, I'm using the Axios post, and then I have this API add BFI, which we are going to create within our Laravel once we get to install it. So what I'm doing here is just an endpoint for us now to be able to, that is, this data will now be registered or will be captured in a database using a backend such as Laravel, which is our server end. And then once that is done, navigate here is used to navigate you to the home. So it tells you, just like I showed you in the first application, once the registration is successful, you are navigated to the slash, which means the home. And then now here, what you are doing is something you are doing here. So the swirl here, the sweet alert, will, if the status is 200, 200 means it's an HTTP status, a response that everything has gone well. If it shows 200, and then now here, if it did not go well, then the 422 will return a particular error here, and then this error will be inputted by this set VFI. Remember, this set VFI is defined under the use state, and the work of the use state is a React hook that basically shows what is the status of a given function within your React. And this status here, for example, within the set VFI, would show if there was an error here, then it will be inputted within this part here of the code. Okay, so that is it. So now once we are done with this one, the next part is just to return this particular form. That is when these details have been captured and handled within the database, then now everything should be working well. So what we have here is that we have something like this. Now, once, as I've showed you, now this is the return statement here. Now, what I'm doing here, look at here, you can see here we have the return, and then I'm returning my particular form here with the title Welcome to VFI Kenya Portal. And then here, please enter your information. And then now this information, I have a form here. This form, what it does, it has a function that is defined, which is save VFI. So where do we find save VFI? Save VFI is found here. You can see here we have the const save VFI, and then so it is an event. So basically what it does, it just checks once the user has inputted his data, it will now save the VFI here, and then this const data will capture all the inputs, and then the inputs now are submitted to a backend through the use of the API here, whereby I'm using the axios.post to post the data to the backend, and then we have the .then, which is the response status there to show what is happening within our code. And basically here we have the export default, which is the add VFI. This is our React way of defining your functions within the React. So remember, we are using functions but not classes to define whatever I'm doing here. So guys, now this is what will happen. So if I save this, I need to have my terminal open so that once I run the application, I should be able to check all is working well. So that is it. So that is on the add VFI. Now let's go to the dashboard VFI, and before we do that, let's look at this import statement. I think the param should not be there. So let me do something there. Sorry, these are the correct imports. So this is what we are having here. So we are having what are we having? So we are having the React use state, and then the use navigate, and then the Axios. So the params, I'm going to show you where we are going to use them. So that is done. So let's go to the dashboard bfi.js. Now once you are done with the add VFI.js, the first thing as we do is to have these import statements, which I'm going to show you where they are used. So we have the use effect and then the user state. So that means you're going to use this, you are going to use the use state. And then we have the link because you're going to be navigating from one file to another, and then the Axios and then the switch alert. So those are the first statement I'm going to use. Now, once we have imported, now I'm going to have this the first function here. Now, this function here, what is going to do is a function dashboard. So basically, what I'm doing here, I'm having this set the loading. Now, what this one does, use by the use of the React hook use state, I'm going to call the loading once the data is being loaded from the database. So basically, what this does is to check that there is data by the use of the true statement under the use state, and then check and then load the data. The set VFIs and then set VFIs using the use state. Basically, we are defining the set VFI so that once we do any changes within this set VFIs, it's going to be updated by the React hook state. And then here, basically, you can see I'm using the use effect. The work of a use effect is to whenever you re-render your application, each and every time there has to be an update. So the use effect here, I'm using the Axios, whereby it's going to get this API. And then within this API, basically what you are doing under the dashboard, you are just getting the data that has been added by the user here, and then showing it under the dashboard. So that's why you see here is just a slash, uh, which I'm going to show you basically the endpoint. So, and then here the status should be 200. That is if it's okay. And then if it's okay, then response.data VFIs, and then the set loading should be now false because the data has been submitted. So this is how we define the use effect. The use effect is defined. For example, here we can define if we wanted, for example, to make any changes within our array, we could define something here. But since we are just showing the application, showing all the details that have been registered by the user, so we only have that. All right, guys, so this is it. So let's go to the next part whereby you are going to create an event, and this event is for deleting and editing and so forth, and then we are going to return whatever we have done so far. So this is what we have. Now basically here, what I'm going to do here, I'm going to have that statement there. So here I'm defining const delete VFI, and then I'm defining an event and then an ID. This ID is the one that we are going to use to delete a particular raw field. So basically the prevent default, you should know by now what it does. So that is the prevent default. And then now here Once the person clicks on the delete, I think you already saw from the first application, it shows deleting. So what I've defined here is a const this clicked, and then it's going to get the current target of the whatever is happening within that particular uh, event. And then if the person clicks, it's going to get the inner text and then it's going to append this deleting. In other words, just to show the user or the admin that that particular data is being deleted. So basically that's what it does. And then here we are going to have, once that is successful, we are going to this API that is under the Axios delete, and then we are going to get this API from our backend and then the ID, and then we delete that particular ID. So once this is successful, we are printing this deleted, and then if it is not successful, we have the 404 error that will come and show you by use of the sweet alert that there is a problem deleting that particular ID. I believe that is easy to understand. Okay, so now here I'm having, now next here we have this which I'm going to explain. So if loading, so this one is going to load the VFI data. And remember here we have it under this part. Remember we defined it under the use state here, the const loading set the loading, and then the use state should be true. So here what we have is that we have it's going to check the loading and then it's going to return this. And then now if it loads, now this is a defined variable of an HTML table, which is now going to, by the use of the dot map function under the JavaScript. If you don't know what a dot map does, I did a tutorial on JavaScript advanced concepts whereby I explained different advanced concepts such as filter, map, and so forth. So you may want to go and check that video. So the VFI dot map, basically what it does, it will now render whatever is on the database, which whereby we have the ID, the gender, the first name. Remember, these are the data that are being captured from this part here. This is the VFI input. So if the loading is true, remember the use state, we have set loading to be true under the use state. So here is going to load all the data here. And then here we have the edit option here. So the edit whereby you can edit. So we are going to do that one under this particular component here. And then here now we have the button whereby we can delete. Remember now this is an event we have defined with the E for event and then the item.id, which we're going to grab and then delete. Now where do we have this delete VFI? Look at here. You can see we have defined it here, const delete VFI and then the ID. And remember it's an event. So and then remember once you click, it's going to come here. It's going to come here. So once you click to delete that particular ID, so this is what we're going to have. So once you click, this event is going to be prompted and then it's going to show you that it is deleting. So it's just a way to show you that it's deleting and then the data gets deleted. So it's simple as that. Now once this is done, the next part here we're going to have is the return statement. Okay, so that is now the return statement. So the return statement here, basically what it does is just going to return for us the list of the VFI brethren in Kenya that is under the dashboard now here. Once everything here is successful, the data already is here, so it is presented. So it is going to load and then return whatever is on that. Look at here, we have the VFI HTML table. Basically what it is now whatever we have here. Remember we have defined it here. So, and then it has the empty quotation. That means here is just taking in um, whatever is on the database here. And then the dot map function, its work is just to present an array of data. So basically this is going to return array of data and then we are good to go there. So that is dashboard. And then the last one is the edit VFI, and this is what we are going to have. So here, this is what we have. Sorry. So this is what we have there. So I am having the React, the use state, and then they use navigate, and then they use params, and then basically now this use params, take note of it where it has the ID, and remember this is the ID of whatever data that I want to edit or delete. So basically the use params is a React hook that matches with the ID, and then disable. By using this one, I'm able to find the ID of a particular element that I want to delete or edit. So basically that is what it does. Now the next part here we have is the use effect, and the use effect, what it is doing is getting the API edit VFI, and then you are taking the ID. Remember the ID is defined under the use params here. So under the use params here, we are defining the ID, and then I'm taking the ID, and then I'm checking. Remember, this is happening under this part here. So look at this part here. So the link to the ID, the item.id, and then once we get that one, this is the place that it will take us to. So this is the place to take us to. So the status 200, okay. Then the set VFI from the use state effect, the use state hook, and then we are able to load to edit our particular data. Okay, so this is what we have next. Okay, so the next part we have is this part here. Now here I'm going to have so here I'm having the, let me show you. So I'm having the use effect as I've explained, and then I'm having these two events, the handle input, and basically you should have known this one by now because you also have it under this part here. The handle input, which is now going to take whatever the inputs we have. Then the update VFI, this is the part. Now this part here, what is going to do, let me remove this. This part here, what is going to do here is going to capture the update, the edit. Once you click the edit and then the update, so the update is going to capture all the data that you need to update, and then now this data will be, of course, this is the array of the data from the input, the VFI input, and then you are now able to update your data. So basically that's what we are doing from the const. We are defining this variable const update, and then the data will be presented as you can see here. So that's what we have. Now once that is done, what next we have here is that we have this part here. Now this part here, after the const data and the update VFI, the event. Now basically what we have next is the axios, and then this axios we are defining it with a put. Remember under the HTTP status request we have get, post, put, and put here is used for updating. So when we want to update something, we use put. So put here is going to take the ID, and then it's going to check if everything is okay, and then once everything is okay, the form is presented to you, and then you're able to update your particular field. And then once everything is successful, this is the sweet alert message that you will you'll get. And then navigate is now to take you back to the home. So I'm defining navigate to take me back to home. If there's any error, to show you there's an 4 error where when you're trying to update a particular data in your form. Okay, so this is it. Now once we are done there, the last part is this one here. Now this is the last part, and this last part here, what you're going to do here, we're going to be checking the if all is loading. That is, if loading, we're going to load this particular file data, and then this data will be returned. So basically what we have here is just to show you when you are, once this data gets loaded and then you update, If there's an error, the error will be inputted out. If there's no error, then everything is going to be inputted. For example, we are going to have success, that everything has gone well under this part here. If there's an error, you'll be prompted with this part here, which will show you that there's an error here. So you'll have something like this, you can see here. So this is what you'll have on this part here. And then response status.data, this is when the error is done. Now here we have something to do with closing. Let me check. Right, so as I've told you, this code it's under my website, so you don't need to worry about this. So you are able to go and get. So what I want you to do is just to get the understanding of what we are doing here. I could have typed all this code for you guys, but since to save time, so this is what we have. So we are done with the edit VFI, and then the add, and then the dashboard for showing us. Now what is remaining here is to make the is I'm now going to style, because we need styling before anything else and before I run this application. So here under the source, I can create a folder here. So under the source here, so you have something like this. So here I create the folder. So I'm going to have a folder here. Then I'm going to name it assets. And then under that folder here, I'm going to have a CSS file. So here I'm going to also have another folder here, and I called it CSS. And then within that CSS, I'm going to have main .css like that. So here I'm just going to set the header, text align, center, padding top, then the button info, the info button, and then the add button. I'm just going to position it relative, and then the bottom and the right 80 pixels, and then I'm going to save that. So I'm going to have that under this part here. We could also have made it under the public, but let me just do it under the source, and then we are done. Now there's a very important file that we need to work on, that is the app .js. Remember, this is the one that renders for me this particular, what you can see here. So we need to do some editing on this particular uh, file here. Okay, so this is the editing that I'm going to do here. And basically what I'm doing here, I'm importing React, and then I'm importing a browser router. Remember, this is not a beginner tutorial, so I believe you understand all this. So a browser router, because I'm going to use a router to navigate from one file to another, then Axios, and then assets. I'm importing the assets from the source folder, the assets, and then CSS, and then main. This should be this one here. And then I'm importing the dashboard VFI, which is this one, as well the add VFI, which should be the ones I've just created from the components folder. So that is easy to understand. Now we have this part here. This part here is important. I believe you understand about Laravel. So if you don't know the framework, I've done a tutorial on how to get started using Laravel. So what I'm doing here, I'm having an Axios default base URL, and the work of the base URL is because I'm going to append the particular endpoints based on my backend here. I'm going to show you this one as we continue. And then I'm setting the header as post to content type application JSON, and then accept application JSON, that is in the array format. And then this part here under the function, so I'm defining the app and then the browser router. And remember, we are going to install this router in just a minute. And then the routes I'm having is the dashboard VFI, this one, and then the add, then the edit. So I'm going to be navigating in between them. And then that's all. So now here, the next item is the next item here is to install the npm install save, that is the router DOM. So I'm going to install that one, because remember we are using the browser router here. coming from the React DOM, but I've not installed it because when you go to package a JSON there, um, oh, it's already installed, so it has been installed. So we already have it there. Now the next part I'm going to install, the next package I'm going to install is the suite alert as well the Axios. Let's install the Axios. So under the so should be sorry, this should be npm install Axios. So we're going to have that one like that. So it is installed. So the next part we are going to install is the suite alert. So the suite alert also needs to be installed. So run that command. Now, once that is done, there's another part here. Now we need Bootstrap. So Bootstrap, of course, because when you look at this file, under this return statement, remember we are returning, remember all this is Bootstrap. So because this is front end, so we have, for example, container fluid, we have set it to margin top of 4, then justify the content center. The columns under the mid device should be 8. We have a card, a title, card body, form group. So all this is Bootstrap that I'm using here within the React. So I need Bootstrap. So npm install Bootstrap like that. So let's just wait for it. Now it is already installed and this is working. That's good. I can also save now this one here. Now, since I'm using that Bootstrap, I need to, when you look at the node modules here, and when you scroll here, we can see that the Bootstrap should be having should have now been installed. So this is the Bootstrap there, the dist folder, then the CSS, and then we have the whatever, all the dependencies for Bootstrap, all the files and folders and anything that we need from Bootstrap. So now we need to go to this, there's this file here that we need to go to. This is called index.js. Now this file, what it does, it is the one that connects with your app.js so that your app can be rendered. Now we need to, actually this is the one that now renders your application. You can see here by appending the app which comes from this app.js. So I need to import these two parts here. I need to have the bootstrap main.js and then the pan.js. Remember they are coming from these node modules here, which I've just shown you. So we need to have that one there like that so that we can use our bootstrap there. If there's anything wrong, we shall be able to see. Now, the next part, and after installing that part here, now we are going to handle the backend. Now, this is done. So, what I can do here, let me just run this application again. So, the npm start, and let's see what we have so far. So, let's see what we have so far. Let me take that one out with the earlier app. Okay, so now you can see it is showing the VFI loading. Now it is trying to load the data from a given API. And remember that part should be under this. So remember we are now on this endpoint here. So here it is what it is trying to do. It is trying now to load this particular data here, this one here. This is the VFI loading. Now, so remember it is coming from a backend through use of an API. So that data is not there, but we can also inspect other endpoints. For example, we also have the add. We have which endpoints do we have? Let me check. For example, we have the add. So we have this endpoint here from. So we have add VFI. So we have the add VFI should be add VFIs or add VFI. So they all work. Okay, so this is the form as you can see. So this is the form. So here I'm able to add and then save the particular information. So this information will be now saved on a backend. So this one, and as well we also have the edit. Let me see the edit. Okay, the edit will come once you access the dashboard. But so far, under the dashboard here, we don't have anything so far. So that tells me we now need to work with the backend. And in this, I'm going to open a new window. And here, I'm going to install Laravel. It's the one I'm using for my backend. Remember, you can also use another backend. You may use Node.js. You may also use Django. So if you have got the understanding of this, and you are not conversant with the backend like Laravel, you can still remain with all this and then just configure your backend that you want to use. For my case, I'm using Laravel. Okay, so let me just do this first. So under the backend, the first step here is to install Laravel. So this is the command to install Laravel. I have the React VFI app like that. Um, okay, so create project command not found. Okay, so let me check this again. Sorry, I forgot the composer because I'm using a composer with Laravel. So this is what I was missing out. So it should be composer and then yeah. So composer, then yeah. So let it install and then let's see. Okay, so now the application has been installed successfully. So we have everything. That is our Laravel. So what I may want to do, okay, let me first let me open it. So I don't know if it's, let me check here. So okay, so let me just locate where it is. So I should be open a folder. So that should be on my softwares, and then softwares we have XAMPP, then XAMPP we have htdocs, and then under the htdocs we have so the name of the app was React VFI app. So this is the app itself. So it gets opened. Let me open the terminal like that. Okay, so what we have here, let me use the git bash since it comes very handy. So now once this is done, now I need to create a folder for my, I need to create a controller, sorry, a controller, because all these endpoints here now need a controller that is going to control, for example, the adding, the editing, where the data gets stored to. We need that or that. If you are not conversant with Laravel, just as I said, check one of my videos how to get started in Laravel 9. I've done a tutorial on that. So here I'm going to run this command php @ make controller API. API is the folder, and then the VFI controller is the file we're going to be working with. So that one gets created under the HTTP, and then controllers, and then API, and then the VFI controller is that one. Okay, so now once this is done, so this is what I'm going to have under this controller here. So I'm going to have this class here. So basically, I'm going to have this code here, which I'm going to explain to you. No need to worry about anything. So what I'm having here is VFI controller extends controller, which is okay. So the function public index here is going to take all the VFIs that are recorded, and then it's going to submit them to here. So you're going to see them here, all of them from a given endpoint. Now, status response.json, basically it is returning this particular uh, data in a JSON format. And then once you go to the add VFIs, this is the function that is responsible for storing all that data here. And basically what we have here is the new keyword, which is going to request all the input, and then is going to save them into the database. This one here is for validation. So what I'm doing, I'm validating the various fields. And so far, I'm validating the first name, second name, email, and length of membership in VFI. And then these are, for example, the first one is required integer, second one is min, unique VFIs. That is, no, you can't have two names or two people registering with the same name. So that is the work of the unique. So you understand that, I believe. So the next one is edit. So this is just to find the ID, and then you are able to edit the given user ID. If there is no user ID to edit, it will return this no VFI ID found. So basically that is what it does. And then the update function is to update the, that is when you click on the edit, you are taken to this particular, this is on the React. So under here, you are taken to this part here. Remember, I showed you the event which handles the update VFI. So the constant data, the array data, and then you are able to be presented the data that you need to edit, which should be this one here, update the VFI Kenyan brethren. So basically, this data is coming from this particular database handled by the Laravel, and then you are able to edit and then save your information. If everything goes well, then the returned response will be this one. Or if there is an error, then you're going to be given that error of no VFI found. And then rest, the destroy basically is just for the delete. Remember, I've shown you that one under the front end. So here we have what we have. So under the edit, remember under the dashboard. So within the dashboard, we have the part of editing, the part of deleting, sorry. So this is the part that gets you delete. So it goes to the API. So this is the API delete. Defines the delete VFI. We are going to create these endpoints for you to get to know these are the routes, remember, within Laravel. And then we are going to delete that particular. So we have edit VFI. Sorry, it is so it is not here. So it is just on this part here. And then this is the response messages that you get once a particular entry has been deleted. So that is on the Laravel side, and then need to have that one there. So and then that's all. Now this error shows we need to create a model here. So I need to create this model. PHP artisan make be that way. Make model VF file. Let's say if that command is correct. Okay. So the model has been created, and then we can also import the class for it. So the class has been imported. And then what else do we have? Something else here. So this validator, we also need to import the class, and this class should be that one. Okay. So these are the necessary classes that you need. So you can save that file there. Okay. So that is the controller that handles. Now we need now to go to, somebody may be asking what about the API. So here is whereby we are now going to create the API, the endpoints. For example, the delete VFI, the edit, the update, and also the home page. So basically this is what we are going to have. So these are the given endpoints that we are having. So we have the get, the post, the get, put, and then delete. So basically here we have, for example, we are finding the home. So this is for example, this is under this part here. So look at this part here. So this is what we have. This returns all this. So this is under the index, then the store for adding the VFI, the edit. So you are taking the ID, and then you're able to edit, and then the update as well, the ID, and then delete the ID and so forth, which is all these functions are presented here. So these are the routes for all these functions. Now, we have created a model and we have not updated that model here. This model needs to be updated. So I just forgotten that. So this is what we have. So under this one, we're going to have that code. The table name, I'm going to call it the VFIs. The primary key will be the ID. The timestamp will be true, and then the status boolean, and then the fillable is going to update the status. So that is what we have. So I'll save this one as well for the API. I'll also save it. Now I need to, since we have a table named VFIs, we need to create that table. And basically that's very important because now that's the table that is going to to capture all this data that I'm going to have. So I'm going to have something like this. So go ahead and run this command, php artisan make migration create VFIs table. Run that command. So that command is basically going to create your tables for you under the database, and then we have the migrations. We should be having the VFIs table created. Now we are going to update these VFI tables with this data. So in between here, this is what I'm going to have. So we have the string gender, first name, second name, marital status, tel number. All this, remember, is the data that we have within our front end here. For example, under the dashboard here, all this data is what we have here. So this is what is going to be captured here as well. Now it's going to be printed out. So that is what we are having there. And then I can save this one. Now, once this is created, I don't think we are missing anything else. It's nothing else is missing. So here I'm going to go to my XAMPP. Remember, I'm using XAMPP for my uh, server. So here I'm going to create a database here, and maybe I'll name it VFI's VFI registration VFI registration form, something like that. Just a database. Now I need this database create. I just need to copy it very well, and then I come to my .env file, whereby I'm going to give the name of the database. It should be the one I've just copied. Now here the password is empty, of course. The root, I've not done any changes to the configuration of my XAMPP, so that is it. So that now when I come to run php artisan migrate, to now migrate all the tables to my database. So that is what we have. So the VFIs should be that way. All right, guys. So the endpoints are created. Everything is working well. So let me just run PHP artisan serve so that we have our Laravel running. So let me just close that one. So we have the module is working. The endpoints are these ones, as I've just explained, and then the controller for our backend is working well. You may also want to know to start your Laravel. So this is how you may want to start it. Check if it is installed. So everything is working okay here. So let me just come here. So what I need here, I need to go to an endpoint to add the VFI. So add the VFI. So that is the. So let me just start with my name. First name is Brian. Second name is Samuel. Marital status is single. Okay. Town of residence should be, say, Nairobi, since I come from Nairobi. The fellowship here should be that one. History involved is okay. So you don't really need to know this. So let me just do now. So I've recorded the information. I've just submitted, not submitted, sorry, but I've now registered the information that I need to register. Now, let's say, for example, let's see if the validation is working. Remember, we have should be here. So under here, so we have the first name is required, second name is also required. So those are the validation I have so far. So let's say I remove Brian. So I've not submitted, so I don't know if it's even everything is working, but let's try to submit here and let's see what is so I'm trying to submit this. So let's check what's happening. So I can see we have some errors, and the error is the server responded internal server error. It means it's not getting the server, and I've just, so I don't know exactly what's happening with my Laravel. So let me try to, okay, so let me try to, let me run this again. And now what we need to do, since the server is running, the endpoints are okay. Now, when you see this is not working as you expect, that's where the use of the postman comes in. So we have postman here just to test our APIs here. So let me just have it running and let's see if all is working. Okay, so our postman is up. Okay, so this let me remove this. So here, dismiss this. Okay, so here we want to do something like so the add VFI should be what? So let's see the endpoint. So the endpoint for add VFI here is post. So this is post, and we also have the get. So for example, this is post, but now this post we should now submit data onto it. So let's just try the part for the home. Let's see if everything is working. So here we have the API. So the API here, we don't have any key value. So this is okay. So let's just try out and see. So there's a message. So that shows you there's something not. So VFI controller doesn't exist. So there has to be something not working well here. So guys, so let's, okay, I can see where the error should be. Now, we have not imported this class here. We need to import this class here. This class is not found. Class is not found. So let me just import it. Okay, now this is the class. So this is the class. So I just forgotten. So it is under the API and then the VFI controller. So we need that one. That's why we are getting this error. And then, okay, so let's try again. So let's try to get this API. Okay, so the status is 200 and then the VFI. So this is working. So now going back again. So here what we are doing here, we are checking the validation of these two fields, this one and this one. So let's try to submit again and let's check. Now you can see it is working. So it is telling you these two fields are required. So here, uh, and of course this error will now disappear because we don't have any error. So let's see if we are able to submit this data. So this is working. So it is runs me. So and then when we save this one, so I think everything now don't have any error here. So far, so everything is working okay. Alright guys, so now this is the data that is captured. So we have the VFI brethren Kenya, and then this so here we are able to add another one. Can add another one. We can edit, I believe. So the edit is there. So for example, I can change this one to 10, then click update. Then it will update this part successful, that is 10. And then basically we can also delete. Remember the event I just shown you. So the event has been deleted successfully. So guys, this is the tutorial for today. So I know I've explained it by pasting the code, but I believe you have been able to understand what Laravel REST API using React, how it works. So I'll leave this code in my website and then follow up. And if there's any question, please post them in the comment section below, or you can also go and write to me in my website at webdevtrainee.com. So let's meet in the next video.